Wonderful.
Excellent. Hate it. Leave that open for me. Going straight out. Let me know y'all got out. How is it going? So I am TJ. Boy, I'm running meetings and stuff back to back here. I feel important or something. Okay, so I was just wanted to talk about real estate and gentrification and different business things going on around the country. So I want to talk about the big picture so people can get a better understanding of it. Okay, so what's going on, and this is one of the things that people need to know that's happening in California. You know, we have the biggest, we got some historical things going on in the country. Technology is finally catching up with us, meaning, you know, a lot of jobs are being wiped out, you know, because of all the technology that's coming into place. So in California, that's the home of technology. Okay, you take it easy. That's the home of technology. You got Silicon Valley up north. So because Silicon Valley is doing historical numbers, unheard of numbers that has never been seen before in American history. You know, they're making more money than the oil companies, they're making more money than the music companies, etc. They decided they want to live and stay in California. In Silicon Valley, up in, you know, Northern California, the price of real estate has become astronomical because of the amount of wealth that's being made. So what they did is they decided to extend the real estate, move out into Southern California and create Silicon Beach. So now you have multi-trillion-dollar, billion-dollar corporations that decided they wanted to be in Los Angeles, you know, in Playa Vista, et cetera, which is 10 minutes away from Los Angeles. So of course, we're gonna have a problem with that. With real estate's gonna start booming. So you have the Google bought the Jordan Down projects. You have Elon Musk opened up SpaceX on Hawthorne Boulevard. I'm sorry, on Crenshaw Boulevard. You know, and SpaceX, Solar City, and Tesla Motors. One of the world's wealthiest men is in Hawthorne. Some of the other world's wealthiest people is in buying the projects in Watts, California. And then you have the Rams and all the rest of these stadiums. And Playa Vista is the tech capital. Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, etc. All these people are opening up around us, and they're swallowing us up, pushing the cost of real estate up. So now you have schools that are being underfunded because the goal is let's push the African Americans out of this area. They said by 2020 that they want most big cities around the country. Same thing's happening with Georgia. Same thing's happening with DC. They're literally, and you heard, I don't know if you're familiar, you heard what Biden recently said. He made a very bad comment talking about African Americans. Hey, you know, y'all on your own. We ain't doing nothing for y'all, pretty much. And in my words, which I always knew that. So I got my door wide open. What does that have to do with us? It has a lot to do with us. They're trying to push us out of the area. So what's going on? And give me 1 second. Let me close this door here. Get my chair back. Okay, I am back. I just closed out a meeting. So anyway, what's going on is we have the corporations have decided they all want to live in California, the largest corporations. We have the uber elite wealthy. Are you familiar with the redlining that they would do to us as a people? They would determine, they said, we want African American people to live right here in these invisible lines in Compton or the West End in Atlanta, hypothetically speaking, et cetera, right there by Harvard and in DC, et cetera. So now they decided we no longer want them there in those areas. We want to push them out further because they want to be in the more densely populated areas where everybody is known to be at. So they're trying to push us out. In California, they're pushing folks from from Los Angeles to Palmdale, even further to, that's going to be the next LA. Then you're talking about in Atlanta, where most people say, oh, I live in Atlanta. They actually don't live in Atlanta. They're out and they're living in cities like, I was speaking with a gentleman in Snellville today, and then you got people being pushed down to cities like Macon, and people are buying houses in cities called Decula and, different areas outside of Atlanta. But what's going on is this is a historical time where it's some historical things happening. If anyone else would like to be a part of the video, come on in and we can kind of dialogue as well once I finish talking about it. But anyway, what's going on is the places that I wrote this book called Monetizing Gentrification, to kind of like go in a little bit on what's happening, and what was about to happen. So now I'm actually working on the newer version, but I've been teaching people about real estate and business because most people don't understand what's going on. They're complaining. They're talking about, stuff is too expensive. I can't believe they're doing this, but this is all a strategy to push us out and steal people's real estate. That's the end game. Get us out of these areas so that they can come in there and redevelop them and make them nice and uber wealthy, because they are by the airports, they're by the jobs, they're by the downtown areas, and the real estate is priceless. So the goal is to push us out and take over that real estate. But my whole point is, yes, these things are happening, and the people who don't understand what's happening or can't recognize them happening, they're not in position. They don't know what to do. So I started teaching people how to monetize the situation, use it to our advantage. Like, for example, right now we're in a situation where we have so many people that are out of work that has college degrees, and they're like at home because of COVID, sitting waiting around on the economy to open back up, not realizing the economy is not going to open back up the way it used to be. What do you got here? Hi, TJ. Long time. Please visit one thing. Enjoy the podcast. Kansas. Hello, everyone. I'm Arthur. Okay. Anyway, so people got to realize what's going on. So I've been teaching people what's happening and how to get in position, what they need to learn. So like I've created a situation where I created TJ's toolbox for our young people so that they can turn around and tap into these trillions of dollars being spent daily. Like, for example, there's a large number of people who are out of work, and yet there is a large number of people who are desperately needed to finish all of this construction that's going on a national perspective. It's so many people. Like, so when Donald Trump came into office, most people forgot that he's a land developer, and his biggest goal was to put up a wall and eliminate his competition as a developer. What does the wall mean? Everybody's like, he's gonna put a wall up in Mexico. What meant for a developer, for a business owner, a real estate investor like myself, that meant he's fixing to lock out affordable labor. So because the Hispanics, all they know is the trades. They come over here, they're building the house, building the freeway. All they know is trades. And when I go to build a house or rehab a house, I'll call up someone, a European person, to come over and give me an estimate on my house. And they'll come in and be like, I'll charge you $400,000. And then my second person is a Hispanic gentleman. He'll come over and he'll say, hey, I can do it for $225. Of course, I'm going to go with the Hispanic guy because I know the first guy didn't like me in the first place, if that makes sense. All of the racism going on. So Donald Trump said, we're going to eliminate the second estimate, the Hispanic guy, and we're going to force you to deal with us. So now when they did that, the whole 225 disappeared, and even the $400,000 to build the house disappeared, because now they realize we no longer have any competition. So now we can raise the prices even more. So that is why you're seeing historical amounts of money, that homes are at historical highs. Construction supplies are at historical highs. Labor is at a historical high. But the biggest problem with that is the African American community is locked out of that because we all have degrees. No offense to people, but I just want to tell us what's going on. So now they're in such desperate. Do you know how it is if they need labor, if they need some help to build a $1.8 billion building, and they don't have no one to do it? Do you know how much money they're willing to pay these people to do that? We're talking about people making six figures, come in there and high six figures a year to come in there that knows how to go in there and hang drywall in a brand new football stadium, or to hang the girders up, to put the name on the top. These people are making big money. And I want people to overstand that, and we got to start pivoting towards that. So to sum it up, I don't know if I'm running out. How am I looking over here? I know I can talk a little long, be long-winded. But anyway, family, I've been redirecting a lot of our young people over into the trades because, me personally, I spend a lot of money fixing up houses every day. Plumbers, I'm paying them $10,000 or $15,000, and I'm being victim to them not calling me back because I'm not spending enough money. I'm only working on a house that's 2,200 square feet or 1,200 square feet, where they're looking for. They just found out that the Rock has moved here, so now all the Hollywood people are moving to Atlanta, are building brand new big mansions and custom homes. So they know if I have a trade, I'm going to, hey, Miss Maxine. People say,
hey, how you doing?
People with the trades, they've realized their value. I ask you to mute. There you go. I got you. So anyway, the people with the trades have realized their value because these corporations don't have time to play games. They got to build these football stadiums, these baseball stadiums, these basketball stadiums. They got to hurry and build the Rock's brand new mansion of 38,000 square feet. So now all these people with the trades are going to accommodate the higher end wealthy people. So instead of them coming down to the lower end areas, to the Comptons, to the Wattses, to the Atlantas, to the West End Atlanta, or to the Chicago, they say, well, we're going to go up over here where the wealthy people are and build these mega mansions. So now we have Microsoft bought 90 acres in the worst neighborhood out here in Georgia called Bankhead. They're going to build their corporate headquarters, and that they announced that 2 weeks ago, and real estate went bananas. So yesterday they announced also they just spent 40-something million buying a lot more land by the airport, the Hartsfield-Jackson Airport here in Atlanta. So Microsoft has made it known that, hey, we want to be here in Atlanta near African Americans. You guys spend $1.4 trillion a year. So they lied to us and say, which is more than that. But anyway, that's another story. So my point is, there was a mayor called Mayor Maynard Jackson. Maynard Jackson was the mayor of Atlanta at the time when they decided to build that airport. That was his vision. And Maynard Jackson hooked us up as a people. And most people don't realize what he did for us. Maynard Jackson did not go in. What is that? I can't hear you. Can we mute the other?
Told me inside Tammy called too. And you know who was at the door was
let me mute.
My neighbor. The guy who worked on my kitchen.
Okay, can you hear me now?
He was back at his car, was closed.
How's that?
I stuck my head out and I said, no, I'm still working on my thing. And
anyway, so what I did, what Maynard Jackson did, Maynard Jackson decided he didn't want to create and fix it to where he would have to put in there that African Americans would get jobs working on that airport. Maynard Jackson he wanted 70% of the people who are building that airport, that one of the world's biggest airports. He wanted 70% of the companies that got the contracts to build that airport to be African American companies. That was one of the best things that a politician could have ever done for us as a people. Where most people say, oh, he's going to get us some jobs. Well, a job ain't worth anything. A job is McDonald's and Walmart. That's a job where you still can't afford to live anywhere. But if we want jobs, we should be asking for living wage jobs. Now you're talking about the SpaceX and Boeing aircraft and Google and places like that pay enough money, $200,000 or $300,000 a year, to where you're looking at these houses and say, oh wow, this house is $1 million in Los Angeles. We're like, oh, that's cheap, let's get it. That's a living wage. But what's going on, Maynard Jackson, by him putting that minority participation, meaning African 70% of the people building this airport have to be African American. That opened the door and created so many African American developers that are millionaires right now. But that is very interesting to me because we have so many schools here in Georgia, you know, colleges that don't teach anything about land development, don't teach anything about tapping into those billions of dollars that it took to build that airport and maintain that airport. So this is why I decided to come out and start teaching people. We have a gold mine sitting right here around us and we're not tapping into it. So it's like literally imagine gold just fell out the sky and it's all over the place and diamonds is everywhere. We'd be walking over them saying, oh no, that doesn't have a degree. So we're not going to bother to sell golds and diamonds. Does that make sense? You know, we're wasting our time. We're overlooking the value. We're not taught to recognize the opportunities that's in front of us. So now we're in a position to where we have no choice but to pivot and find out what's working, what's no longer working, get rid of that, and let's go with what's working. So what is working? Technology is working. The automotive industry is in desperate demand of labor. Elon Musk is saying, hey, he got mad at California and moved to Texas. And now he's saying, hey, he needs 10,000 people. He needs 10,000 homes to be built in Texas so that he can have built brand new Tesla cars because California recently passed a law saying by 2020 something, they want all electric cars. So Elon Musk said he's going to be building here building in California. But long story short, building in America. Ford says they're going to be building electric cars, but we don't teach our children the trades to build cars. So back in the days, that's how most African-American people fed their families. Everyone had a cousin, an uncle, or auntie that worked for General Motors, Ford, or Chrysler. So now history is repeating itself, where now America's bringing all the jobs back here because we're losing so many jobs. They're about to lose they have the autonomous vehicles that's out now. They can't, cars will sell, trucks will drive themselves. So literally your Ubers, your Lyfts, your truck drivers, they're about to lose all their jobs like instantly. And that's millions of people, millions upon millions of educated people with degrees. We have a large number of people with degrees driving Lyft, driving Ubers. Most people don't know that. I traveled the country. I did over 22 states. And every time I go to the airport and get picked up by someone in a Lyft, it's always an inspiring college student looking for a job and said, I'm just doing this for now. That is who I expect to pick me up from the airport, a college student, a 25-year-old young lady or a 26-year-old young man who got a degree, who has his doctorate, who's looking for work. You know, I'm going to do this for now. But anyway, those people are about to be wiped out. And that's why they're bringing in the foreigners saying, we're going to not teach you guys how to do the construction, how to tap into today's economy. We're going to bring in the foreigners again. Now that Trump's out, Biden came in and said, forget all of that Trump stuff. We're going to bring in foreigners. So I don't know if you paid attention to what was happening in the news where Biden is paying $60 million a week to house foreigners. And all of these foreigners that he's bringing in from overseas, they're all tradesmen, if that makes sense. People who are going to come in here and tap into these jobs and come in here and make a lot of money doing repairs. Now, here's why they don't want us doing it. Because a person with a trade that comes in and learns how to build a brand new football stadium, a basketball stadium, learns how to extend the airport, learns how to expand the freeway system, he's going to lead a multi-billionaire in the future because he's going to get smart and say, let me do this and open my own company up and go in there and bid on some of these contracts. They all of a sudden start recognizing their value. Oh, if I open a business here, I can go to Atlanta and start bidding on those contracts because there's a 70% minority participation. If we have the trades, they're going to into all of these things that Maynard Jackson set up, and they're going to become wealthy, and the whole country will pivot into the trades again. So that's what they're trying to block. But anyway, family. So I teach people about real estate, how it really works. You know, I wrote a book called Monetizing Gentrification, Building Black Ownership, meaning, yes, gentrification is happening in our neighborhoods. It's pushing a lot of us out of the neighborhoods, but it's also a $1 trillion economy. Let's tap into this and make some of this money. What do I mean by that? Well, I just actually, me myself, have spent over 2,000 fans over the last 3 months in my house. You know what I mean? I moved to Georgia, bought a new house, and I'm spending buku dollars trying to get it up to standard the way I like it personally. You know, I'm not trying to go into who I am and me, but I'm just saying a 15-year-old could have came over the house and hung up those ceiling fans. You know what I mean? Hung up those new light fixtures. I spent over $12,000 putting hardwood floors down. A 12-year-old could have come in there and laid those hardwood floors down, family. All we have to do is I teach people how to pivot and tap into money. Where is the money at? You know, we have to get out of we have too many of us who are looking for houses, who are desperate to find houses, but the reality is we should be building houses. So I teach land development classes on how to build houses, how to build commercial buildings, etc. Because a lot of people are coming to Georgia and they're waiting on them and they're treating us like we don't know anything about business and money, and they're getting over on people and they're raising the cost of real estate through the roof because so many people are coming from California, New York, DC, Texas, and they're paying cash for houses, and it's just a nightmare out here for people who don't understand what's going on. But I'll take some questions now because I know I talk a lot. Anyone have any questions for me? Let me see. Hello?
My question,
Go ahead.
my question is about real estate. What's available? Do you have a team of folks, a leader, what do you call it, a group that buy collectively?
I coach a lot of those groups like that.
Okay, so I need a group.
You need to create one or you want to be a part of one?
I want to be a part of one.
Well, you have to reach out to me. Y'all can call me at area code 310-619-3954. Again, 310-619-3954. So what I do is I coach people on what to do. So for example, my primary customer is a person who's coming from out of state who just sold their house in Lamar or in New York for $700,000, and they're coming here, want to relocate to Georgia. So they're saying, TJ, I'm going to quit my job, and I got $700,000. I got $200,000, whatever it is. I want to put this money in the best places? I need a new house, and I need some type of business. Can you help me? That's what I do for a living. I help to transfer those people transfer them from an employment situation into a wealth building situation, which right now, the number one wealth building situation in America is not Bitcoin, is not the stock market, it is the real estate market. So I transfer a lot of people into real estate investments and teach them how all that stuff works. So we do everything from building houses to buying up boarded up houses and fixing those up, etc. You know, just teaching people about pathwaying young people into land developers. So instead of us having a bunch of $1 million doctors, how about we have a bunch of $1 billion land developers in our community, if that makes sense? Every young man standing on the corner should know how to hang a ceiling fan or go in there and put up a brick wall, you know, in my opinion. So that's why I started a group called TJ's Toolbox. But yes, please reach out to me. I can help you guys with that type of information and point you in the right direction of people that can help you as well. Any more questions? Let me see. Black economics development is so important. Absolutely. Super. Oh, let me type my information in over here. Got a whole nother conversation going on over there. My website and information is tjloftin.com. My phone number is 310-619-3. You know, so why did I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. Sebi, ancestor Dr. Sebi. Dr. Sebi found me in Leimert Park, California. I was the one who fought against gentrification. I was the one who actually called out gentrification in LA. I was the first person to call out gentrification in Los Angeles, and most people said, what does that mean? What is gentrification in 2012, 2013, something like that? And Dr. Sabi, so I was able to stop them because I have a land development background. And Dr. Sabi said, what you're doing here in Lamar Park is happening all around the world, but it's not happening the way what you did. So I would like the world how to do that. So if you look, TJ, just type in TJ and Dr. Sabi, and you'll see Dr. Sabi. And I want you guys to know who he is because he knows what's fixing to happen to us as a people, and he has a solution. So I was the only person that Dr. Sabi ever endorsed, and he's the reason why I ended up writing a book and traveling the country. So the name of my book is called Monetizing Gentrification, Build Ownership. Please go to my website and buy it, or call me in person and buy it, because once I put this book out, Amazon has my book. Amazon literally had put my book on its website. I was not using Amazon, but somehow my book ended up on Amazon. And bookstores, I have my books in about 15 states around the country. And one of my bookstores told me recently, he said, TJ, Amazon has 185 books of yours in stock right now. And they're selling fast. And I'm like, I don't even have a relationship with Amazon, you know. So
you're keeping your money too.
Absolutely, you know, but these are things that they do with us. So again, if you're interested in purchasing the book, please reach out to me, buy it in person or on here. I also do trainings. If you're interested in a consultation or training, Internet Radio, that name.
Okay, can everybody hear me?
Who's Mr. Interlight Radio? Yes, we hear you. Show you.
Okay. This we met.
Brother, I know you. What's going on? The original founders. I met that brother at the Good Life back in the days. You remember that?
Back in the day.
I came into the Good Life. I was the youngest person in there. Miss Efa took me under her wing back in the days and said, I'm going to work with you. I remember front page. There you go.
Let me
got a question?
ask a quick question.
Go ahead.
Beyond real estate, what do you believe are the future trends that African Americans can tap into that can become economically fruitful, relatively easy, considering the economic condition that we find ourselves in as a group? I just listened to Dr. Anderson, and he painted a rather dark, well, let me change that from dark to pale picture of the plight of African Americans currently. But he didn't say it was hopeless. But there has to be, there has to be some trends that are moving forward in spite of the economic downturn globally. Somebody's making some money somewhere.
Yes, we are.
Beyond real estate, what can we tap into?
The automotive industry. If you look me up, my name is Thomas TJ Loftin. I come from the lowrider world, meaning the bouncy cars. I don't know if you guys are in California. You'll see the cars bouncing up and down up Crenshaw. Custom cars, classic cars. That is a multi-trillion-dollar industry that African Americans control. So if you look me up, I'm one of the pioneers that took that industry to a whole nother level. So when I talk to my automotive world, there is no bad economy. They're making more money than they've made before in U.S. history. So when I started building those 50, I started off putting lowriders and rap videos, movies, and TV shows and commercials. Those cars used to cost us $3,000 for a '64 Chevy. Now those cars are like $150,000. We control those industries right now. And that is how I actually started off speaking. But when I told them that I bought a commercial building because no one wanted to have a lowrider shop next door, then all of a sudden they pulled me into the real estate conversation. But my conversation is about us as a people being the biggest car builders on the planet. You know, car building didn't start off with me. Car started off with a brother by the name of C.R. Patterson in the 1800s. When you look at the movie when you see that historical picture, the backseat of that car with the brothers and he was sitting inside of a black-owned manufactured car, a C.R. Patterson car that has somehow been erased from history. So fast forward the story, there are a lot of African-American brothers in Compton, Los Angeles, and Watts area that have hydraulic shops, have auto body shops, and these guys are all millionaires. So we control that industry. All of us are manufacturers. Hold on, let me show you something. These are some car parts that I manufacture right here for the auto industry. That is a multi-billion-dollar industry because majority of those cars that are built in the 60s, the 54, 59 Chevys, 7 Bel Airs, those cars are worth $500,000. The 58 is worth anywhere from $250,000 to $500,000. So these parts right here, I retail these for $125. Now I have to start selling them for $150 because of COVID. Everything's going up. So why don't I go up too, if that makes sense? The price of the cars are going up through the roof. So I am in the stack of magazines. Matter of fact, I'm working on a documentary. Let me get some of these books here. I'm in a stack of magazines. I don't want to be disrespectful to the ladies, but I am in a stack of magazines that will come up to your head from over the last 25 years that I helped to build this lowrider world. So we have to get into these automotive worlds because I am the biggest speaker in the world I used to own the biggest lowrider shop in the world. So you see, this is called, let me cover the lady up. This is Street Customs Magazine. This magazine, this has to be at least 1999 or 2001. But this is one of my first ads here. Express plating. This is black owned. Most people don't have a clue or understand. And this is a whole different magazine, Street Low Magazine. This is Street Custom Magazine, Street Low Magazine. So I am one of the biggest car builders in the world, but the problem is most people don't even know I exist. Most people don't know that African Americans dominate lowriding because they think Hispanics started lowriding, which is the furthest thing from the truth. So the biggest problem we have in our community is communication. We don't communicate. When they started communicating, that's why I became one of the biggest speakers that travel the country, because I bring a different conversation to the table. I can name 100 millionaires, not 100 million, I can name over 25 millionaires with no problem. I'm sorry, 100 millionaires, and I can name about 25 billionaires that come from the car world. African Americans that come from right there in the neighborhood, where most people look at us and say, oh, he's a drug dealer, that's why he has so much money. So let me tell you about my background here. You see this here? This is an article. This is an advertisement. This magazine ad cost me about $4,000 for 1 month. So what I did is, this is the suspensions of a car. I started a business called Motor Suspensions in 1993, 95, I think it was. I own Compton Wire Wheel, Motor Suspension, and Express Gold Plating. Manufacturer. I've been the first people to ship cars and car parts globally. I've shipped cars in Japan, Germany, Australia, New Zealand, and to this day, I still ship car parts. So my thing is, the biggest problem I've been having is communicating to each other, letting people know I come from having a trade. You know, I didn't learn all of this from a university. This comes from having a trade and just one day at a time learning different things. So we got to pivot and get back to this. So what I realized was people were having a hard time finding, you know, as those rap videos would come out, people would have a hard time. They say, hey, I want one of those cars like Ice Cube had in that video. And they didn't know who built them. So they would start sending them back to people like me. And I realized a lot of my friends we were all building these cars because I helped a lot of them start businesses. And a lot of my friends, they didn't have the time to build the parts. So I decided to pivot and say, you know what, I'm going to stop building cars and I'm gonna specialize in just building the frames. I'm gonna specialize in doing the chrome plating. So I would literally go to the junkyard, buy a bunch of junk cars, and restore them and have them ready to sell to the car guys that are going to build them for the videos, etc. So I became became the biggest distributor of car parts in the world. That was Africa. I pulled down at least 10, 11 figures a year selling car parts, and most people have no idea. There are over 10 million low riders worldwide, family. And that is an industry that we control. When you look at rap videos, you hear about it. I started manufacturing all these car parts, family. This was enough that we could build this stuff, give every African American person in the country a job, and pathway them into entrepreneurship. But anyway, that is our solution, is the automotive industry. But now I'm pointing like to real estate. But the automotive industry is the biggest industry that we can take over, because now you have Master P just connected with the African American brother who has a $2 million car company, supercar company. And now we're going to have people like Master P going to say, hey, I want to manufacture all the parts right here in America in African American warehouses. But here's the problem. We need people to do that labor. That's where we at. Does that answer your question, Jamal?
He's on mute.
Oh, okay.
That's one avenue.
You said what now, brother?
No, I'm saying that does answer part of my question. That's one avenue, beyond real estate that we can get into quickly.
This is a lot of avenues, but I'm also one of the advisors of the Compton Airport. You familiar with that in Compton? In Compton, we have an African American who, I don't want to go into it, but this is another way to make money. I recently, maybe couple years ago, I connected. I used to be the one of the advocates, the manager of the Compton Airport at tomorrow's Aeronautical Museum, and where you'll see where Isaiah Cooper flew around America. The 16-year-old African American flew around the country by himself. Well, that was Isaiah Cooper. I was his advisor, one of his coaches. And fast forward the story, we got thousands of pilots retiring. We got all of the people who work in the watchtowers retiring. So because I have that relationship with a black pilot, a black helicopter pilot that's sitting there in Compton pulling down large amounts of money, doing rap videos and taking rappers, flying them in helicopters and all of that stuff, flying them in private planes, etc. That's a whole nother world. See, we tend to talk about things like we're not doing it. We'll say African Americans need to start manufacturing and we need to start doing international business. We're already doing these things, but we need to start communicating. But getting back to the airport, we have a lot of pilots that are retiring, and at that airport, I connected them with the Black College Expo. So they're trying to pivot, and they partnered, from my understanding. They partnered, and the new goal is to stop sending so many people off universities, but to convert them into being pilots, because they've run out of pilots. And when they came out with this, all of this, you hear Amazon saying they're going to deliver in person. They're going to deliver the same day by drone. Well, the government got smart and said, okay, well, we're going to have the billionaire companies do what we couldn't do. They couldn't find enough pilots. So they said, in order to fly a drone, you have to have a pilot license, which, by the way, a pilot license, you only needed like, I think it was 40 hours to get a pilot license, literally 40 hours. You understand what I'm saying? So now they said, we're going to create more pilots. So they came into Compton and they started to partner with everybody. But most people didn't want to be a pilot, not understanding the pathways to being a pilot. When you become a pilot, you can look at, for example, Kenny Roy at 16 years old, African-American from Compton, went to Canada to get his pilot license. At 14 years old, he got his pilot license at 14, came back to America and got his pilot license at 16, and he went to school to become an aircraft mechanic. But what do that? Look up Kenny Roy, Kenny Roy, ROY. Look up Isaiah Cooper. But Kenny Roy, he turned around and became an air mechanic. and he's living in Dubai somewhere, you know, doing very well. This young man is 25 years old. He owns his own airplane. He owns his own boat. He has a condo in Dubai and a home here in America. 25 years old from Compton. And these are people we don't talk about. You know, this is from that world. But what am I saying? A way that we can make money, since we have such a great relationship with the aerospace industry, we're rolling and becoming manufacturers of aircraft parts. You know, we got people like Kenny Roy who knows how to take an airplane back together again. So how about we start manufacturing those airplane parts with the multi-trillion? So we have the people in the right places, but we don't. The people that are, we have people who are that are blocking us from getting the good information. So the reason why you don't see me speaking at a lot of universities, and the reason why you don't hear my name coming out of Professor Claude Anderson's mouth, no offense, but my background story is not one that American wants to accept. My story says I started off in my mom's backyard, you know, learned how to work on cars. My dad and grandfather gave me a little red toolbox, and I had an auto mechanic class in high school. And guys on the corner taught me how to work on cars, lowriders. Now I became a multimillionaire in my lifetime, and they don't want to hear that because there's no university involved in my conversation. I can't say, oh, I went to Morehouse, where Morehouse can take credit. If people find out in our community, we don't necessarily need to go to a university to learn how to become successful, then we don't accept that, because we've been programming our young people to say, literally, if you don't go to a university, if you don't have a degree, you're going to fail in life. That is the biggest problem in our communities, where now people like me, there's no reason to bring TJ there because I don't have a degree. And the things that I'm going to tell them to go and create wealth, not to get a good job, but to create wealth in our community, is not going to benefit the education system, if that makes sense. But here's the problem that we really need to address. The biggest thing with entrepreneurship is I am so connected in the automotive world that if you were to go tell people that you used to work for me, you will have people who are willing to put up large amounts of money to start a business because they know what I've done in my lifetime. They know my background, and they know if you know anything that TJ knows, I'm willing to back you and put money up. Does that make sense, family? Just like people who work for Tesla, or people that used to work for Elon Musk or Steve Jobs, these are highly sought after. My point is, all of 95% of multi-million-dollar business owners are non-college educated, and 95%, the majority of them are willing to teach people how to make money, but we're not looking to listen to those kind of people, if that makes sense. So how do we get out of this? We have to start reaching outside of the box and talk to the people who's done it, who are successful, who don't necessarily have a college degree. So when people come to me, anyway, my point was, I'm able, when I speak at places, I speak with power. I was speaking at one place, and I told a young man, he said he went to jail because he always doing graffiti, spray painting the walls. And I said, do you really know how to draw? And the whole class was like, yeah, he could definitely draw. And then I said, okay, well, I want you to start a business, and I'm going to connect you with some of my car building buddies, and I want you to do murals on the trunks of those cars. Just like you have Jamal here on Interlight Radio, he has that picture of that lion. They have pictures, people who want that picture on the trunk of their custom car, people who want that picture on the side of their building, and these people are highly sought after. So graffiti painting is a pathway to success. If people don't realize it, they don't know of the places that they fast forward. I directed that gentleman to a paint shop guy, a friend of mine, and that man said, business owner, give him contracts these cars. So you do a mural less than $15. That young man is pulling in a high 6 and 7 figures right now, purely based on my referral. So by us not going into entrepreneurship and going after the people who've already done it, we're missing out on the referrals. So let me reference Steven Spielberg. What's his name? The one of the brothers, the actors. He said one of his movies had bombed because they had all the A-list actors in the movies, but Steven Spielberg referred his cousin to direct the movie, knowing he had no film experience and no history in that. Steven Spielberg knew he wanted his cousin to be successful and he wanted him to have that credit. So he put his cousin in position to go get a credit for being over a A-list actor movie. So that is the same thing in entrepreneurship. When you have the power, you can walk in and say, I'm going to hook these people up because I'm going to let them swipe my name like a credit card. And they say, hey, I grew up under TJ. Just like if you look me up and you'll see Dr. Sabi endorse me, go to YouTube, type in TJ and Dr. Sabi. I walk in and people say, oh, Dr. Sabi endorsed you. Come on in. We lack that when we don't deal with entrepreneurship. We seek out the people who go in and say, oh, I went to Morehouse. And that's what we spend. That's the majority of the people I talk to say, I graduated from Howard, so look up to me and you guys need to listen to me. But these people are not producing jobs in our communities. No offense to anybody. I'm just saying we have to pivot and go off of what works, and what's not working, it's time to move. Any questions?
TJ, the last workshop I went to that you did here on hopping, you mentioned that whites would move in the neighborhood and walk around even though they don't live there. Well, a white guy moved next door, but he doesn't stay there but about once or twice a week. Had the nerve to put in a complaint about the bees when he was having stuff cut down in the back. And I've had the bee people come out 3 times. They got to come back this week. And last summer I had somebody come, but I didn't pay him until this spring when it was more in my budget. But he doesn't even live there. He just comes about once or twice a week. He's not even cutting the grass now.
You know
so
what
you think that's one of those situations where he just trying to buy a property?
Yes, he's an investor.
Okay.
I'll tell you what they do. The hedge funds are buying up the majority of the homes in America. The billion-dollar Wall Street corporations are using their money, using our stock dollars, not our, because I don't get involved. They are teaching us stocks. So they're using our stock dollars to gentrify our community. So what they do is they come in and buy a certain amount of houses in a neighborhood, and then they turn around, and now that they own 10 or 15 houses on this block, now they can go to the city and complain as an owner. So most people don't realize you can go into the city meetings and say, hey, I graduated from all these universities, but we don't own any real estate and you have no voice. But me as a person say, hey, I'm a convicted felon, but I own 14 houses on this street and I want this stopped. They gonna listen to me. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Has all the rights. So we have people that don't look like us that will move in our communities, buy up a certain amount of properties, and then go to the city meetings and then start filing complaints. Why is this street named after Malcolm? Why is this a black example? You'll see at Howard University. I put that in my book, by the way. I said Howard is on its way out. Most HBCUs are on their way out because they're being gentrified and they don't even realize how around the African HBCU are owned by Europeans in the last decade. They bought up all the houses, they've used it to run down the neighborhoods, and now they're going back to the city filing complaints saying, if this is a white neighborhood, why do we have an African American school across the street? That's not fair. I don't want them over here. So now they're going to start putting the HBCU title, and they're going to open schools because of the ownership situation. Mm-hmm. And when I said that, I gave a lecture and I said that it outraged so many people. But 7 months later, all of a sudden they filed a complaint. The Howard University had filed a complaint with the city saying these Europeans keep coming on our properties with their animals and they're pooping all over the place and peeing on the grass, being disrespectful to the students who like to sit on the books and on the grass and study. So a white European guy came on the news and said, if they don't like, you can Google this, by the way, family, if they don't like us being here, they can pack up their 150-year-old campus and move. Meaning we just, yesterday, we ain't going nowhere because we bought up the neighborhood. Y'all been here 150 years. Y'all don't own the neighborhood, so y'all can go. They're working get them out of here. This is going on all over the country. You know, I was the one who stopped that in Leimert Park. They came in Leimert Park in 2013 and tried to kick us out of the park because they wanted to build condominiums on the top and resident commercial on the bottom. And I was the one who stood up and stopped that and called it this. And he's crazy. Going to do, and I knew how to stop him as a builder, a person with a land development background, understand how things work. So I knew exactly what needed to be said. So where they thought one man walked in there by himself with the knowledge of land development and the laws and knew exactly what needed to be said. As a developer, I know what I don't want people saying, and I know what they can do. My information to start from forward. That's why I'm the most loved man in Leimert Park and most hated man in Leimert Park all the time. But this is the problem we having. People will. Here's another situation which they'll do. Gentrifiers will come in our communities and buy up a certain amount of houses, and when they see the price of the real estate starting to go too high, turn around and sell some of their houses for cheaper. So if we're over here selling houses in Compton at $550,000 and that becomes the median home price, the gentrifier who owns up 30 or 40 houses in our neighborhood, he'll turn around and sell 3 of his houses for cheap, for like $175 and $200 and $225. Appraisers are going to say something must have happened. Something cheaper, so your appraisal is going to have to come in $300,000 cheaper because these three homes that just recently sold for less market value. This is how they control the market. So this is why they'll move in our neighborhood, they'll buy a house, and they'll set vacant so that they can to our community meetings. Or hell, they'll create a community meeting. You understand what I'm saying? And won't invite us. And then they'll change the city. Like they changed the name they try to change the name from V Park to something else. You know what I mean? They're changing the name to something else. Why? Because they have ownership in that neighborhood and they created community meetings. Does that make sense, y'all? So I hope I answered.
That's awesome.
Again, why I teach people what I know. This is why it's very important that we all pivot and we pivot fast. Because right now, this is the ninth inning of the game. We're not going into overtime. Or actually, we can say we're in overtime. I don't know if y'all know that they said out of Los Angeles. That was the goal. They said we will have African Americans in Los Angeles by 2020, and that's how they got Elon Musk in. And when 2020 came, I would sit down and talk with Dr. Sabi, and we would talk, and we would be like, what are they going to do to get African Americans out of there? Are they crash an airplane? Are they going to go in there and burn down the houses? Are they going to say there's a leak or something? They're going to put a scene. What are they going to do? We would talk about this, and that's pay attention when tell people look for it, what to look out for. All of a sudden, when 20 came, this thing COVID hit, and then guess what cities they became ground zero? Los Angeles. They want people out of Los Angeles, so they said, "Hey, COVID is ground zero in Los Angeles." Now you have a bunch of terrified seniors, people who own things, homeowners got scared and say, "I am moving away. I'm selling my house that I had no intentions of selling, and I'm moving." And that's what the plan was. So that was what we were waiting for, because like I said, but guess what? Now it kind of backfired against them because Elon Musk said he can't wait no longer. Do y'all know that Elon Musk, they always talk about him owning a Tesla space, but they never talk about he owns a boring. Elon Musk owns a company that digs tunnels underground. So he literally was in Los Angeles in digging tunnels, Parthon all the way up to the gas dam, so he could put hyperlink trains, so he could turn around and not have to deal with the traffic. He was really buying up houses. Most people don't understand don't even know that. Talking about that we could turn around and make decisions. What do you think about Bruce's Beach, man? Back to okay.
Give it back to the descendants. Did you? It was on
Yeah,
the grill. Did you see that?
been there for years to Bruce's Beach. But I think the biggest what I think about that is that goes back into a conversation of us not having communication, you know,
Mm-hmm.
only in America. So Bruce's Beach was by wealthy black people. Do you understand what I'm saying? Back in the
Mm-hmm.
who wanted to have a beachfront area to go hang out at. So that was
Mm-hmm.
on resorts on that land. So they
Yeah.
got and took it from them. But here's the thing. Have you ever heard about any African Americans getting their land back? That is a very wealthy family that's not in history that we don't talk about.
Mm-hmm.
They took that land. The family continued to fight. That's why they did not build houses on that land because they knew
Mm-hmm.
they had the money and the power to fight to get that land back. So they made it a park. So now they getting the land back. It's been a park for years, and all these European people have been walking their dog on the park, going there. African Americans get it back. They're going to be mad, and they're going to go in and build some custom homes there. And these people are going to come in and complain about, oh, we don't want those houses there. They're going to do everything in their power to keep them from building on it. That's why they're blasting it all over social media, blasting it all in the news. But what they need to be talking about is the black people in America that's not in history, the wealthy black people. I hope I answered that question. That's what I think about it. That's
Okay.
think,
Mm-hmm.
communication again. They had a gentleman out here in Atlanta who wrote a book and said these are the billionaire African people that all around the world, and there was only like 5. And I said that's not accurate.
Mm-hmm.
I said it's not accurate. That's more billionaire analysts. And then I started names on them, and one of the events. Again, here goes that communication. Well, we're not communicating. If we communicated, most people, we look down on each other. Oh, you don't have a college degree. Oh, I don't want to talk to you. Oh, you don't go to my church. I don't need to talk to you. Oh, you're not a Democrat. I don't want to talk to you. We're not communicating. So that a lot of divide. So now people say things like, well, we don't have. What about the potential taxes for Bruce's Beach? It's a lot. Oh, they owe Bruce's Beach people a lot of money. They owe them a lot. What do you think? Am I missing anything? Okay, how can you get a copy of my book? You can give me a call 310-619-3954. And it is $30, and I will drop it in the mail to you. You can cash at me at # Thomas TJ Loftin. It's called Monetizing Gentrification, Building Black Ownership. You can give me a call or go to my website. Inbox me on Instagram. I'm at Thomas TJ Loftin. Like I said, please do not buy it off of Amazon because I'm having a problem with Amazon. I just told them to stop selling my books, etc. And because I've missed out on a lot of sales, because a lot of people have been buying. I'm a best-selling author. I've sold a lot of books at our events. So please call me directly until I get things back up and running right way. Or send me an inbox message with your email. Your phone name, and cash at me or Zelle me. Everything is Thomas TJ Loftin or Thomas Loftin. Cash App is Thomas TJ Loftin. Zelle is Thomas Loftin. And you can use my phone number, 310-619-3954. Does anyone have any more questions for me? And I don't know how we're doing on time. What time?
It's 2:00. It's almost 2.
What's going on, Ms. O? So yeah, that's what we got to do because it's a lot of things happening in real estate, family, and I'll be honest with you, it's real dangerous. We have people in California who are selling their properties. We got people with some real money, y'all, We got people who own houses in Leimert Park or View Park, and they're selling, or apartment buildings, and people are selling their properties and leaving LA with 1.8, 3.5 million and coming to Atlanta. So one of the biggest community is when they get to Atlanta, the biggest mistake they make is calling a real estate agent and telling them where they came from. So when you tell them, hey, I'm from LA and I'm coming out here with $2 million, then they say, oh, we want you to live this place. You know, for example, if you're in LA, they would be directing you to Palmdale, not View Park, California, where, oh, you coming from an area and you should be looking for other African Americans that got money in successful Black neighborhoods. They don't want you to know about those areas. They'll send you to Palmdale and tell you, oh, it's a brand new houses out there. So when people come here to Atlanta, they won't tell them about the Cascades neighborhoods where the very successful black politicians live and people like that. They'll tell them about, okay, well, you guys are going to move out to Jonesboro or Decula or whatever county, which is 45 minutes to an hour away, in some brand new homes. So they're dividing us up and splitting us up, and where those homes originally in those neighborhoods were only going for $150,000 with 2 or 3 acres on them, and the houses were like 3,000 and 4,000 square feet. But because of the large demand of people coming to Georgia, now the builders have decided to cut back. They're no longer giving up a lot of land. They're no longer building the big giant homes anymore, and the prices are not so affordable. They're like starting off at $500,000. They're literally selling condos. They're building so many townhouses and condos that the city had to step in and say enough is enough. Yeah, I get these phone calls to buy my house for cash every day. Family, you know, we got to get out of it. Yeah, they going out of their way to try to buy our houses from us, because we got to understand, if how's the market crashing if you got so many people trying to buy your house? I hear these rumors. Everybody, I get people who book me for a consultation all the time, and they ask me, can you explain to pastors are paid to say that. You got community leaders that are being paid to say that. So that's telling you sell your property and leave. But the reality is, why is it so many people here trying to buy something that has no value? If the market is crashing, why would so many people be trying to buy it? Because they know it's not about to crash. So if we turn around and we set on those houses, those houses are going to jump up to $2 and $3 million. So we're going to be, they're in the process of trying to lock us out of LA, and they're going to change the name. You know, they're going to call Compton Hills, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. So what they're doing is they're trying to get us out of there. So if they can get you out right now at $500,000, you'll come back in 2 years. You'll be like, that house is worth 2.7 million now. I wish I would have never sold that house. And that's what most people don't understand. Here's an example. Venice Beach used to be a Black city. I don't know if you guys remember, Venice Beach houses were literally 30,000, 50,000. The people who lived there on the beach worked for the people in Beverly Hills and Malibu. And that was the closest area that their employees could live. So now Venice Beach, you'd be hard pressed to find a house for less than $2 million in Venice Beach. So and forget the fact that it's sitting on the water. It's the point is in that area. Same thing is happening in Los Angeles, family. Same thing in Compton, LA and Watts, DC, etc., Atlanta, Georgia. This is happening. So, this is I do so many trainings to better educate people. Is there a question for me, by the way? Yeah.
I got a question. How about Inglewood? I live in Inglewood, and they've been trying to build this new basketball or football stadium, and then COVID hit.
It's ready.
It's ready now? Okay.
My friends, they were there. They were sitting in their box seats. You know, so
okay. Good. I'm glad I haven't moved. I've been staying here. It didn't got shaky through the years, but I've been here going on. My son is about to be 40. He was 2, so 38 years. So I done hung in here.
I was in talking to some people. I do a lot of coaching of people in Inglewood, and the price of real estate is out of control. and the developers are building. I was a advisor to the Inglewood School District, and the Inglewood School District was in this receivership, meaning they were in debt. They didn't have any money. What do you say? I responded telling them I might sell if they paid me $200,000 above market value, and I have a few return calls. Brother, please believe they're out here in Georgia paying $300,000 and $400,000 above asking price. So I'm pretty sure they're doing that in LA too.
Wow.
Yes, that's why I tell people do not sell, because we're in a situation where, let's put it like this, right now they're using COVID to scare people out. I'm just be honest with y'all. Before COVID, there was the opportunity zones. They made LA and Compton, Watts an opportunity zone. So when the cat gets out of the bag and you realize the wealthy corporations that have moved into LA around you, or that has moved around you, you're gonna say, wow, I'm never gonna sell my house at that price. Because if Elon Musk moves in the Hearthstone, they're already there. His employees is making, he got rocket scientists working there at SpaceX and Hearthstone. Come on, family. How much does a rocket scientist make? You built those thrusters rocket, you're talking about you make 500,000, 700,000 a year. So seeing a house for $2 million is not a lot of money. So the housing market usually is compatible to what the businesses are in the area. So you go to certain areas like Macon, Georgia. They're only the big businesses in Macon is McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, etc. So that's why you go around, you'll see $80,000 houses. You'll get a turnkey house with totally remodeled for $90,000. You understand what I'm saying? Because there's no real businesses there. But if you start saying, oh, we got SpaceX, we got Boeing aircraft, we got McDonnell Douglas, we got Google, Facebook, Snapchat, all of these are walking distance from my house. Those have if that makes sense, family. So that's why they don't really announce what big corporations. You didn't even see on the news that Elon Musk was building SpaceX in Hart. That didn't make no ruffle, no feathers. That didn't make no big noise at all. It was like quietly. He snuck in there quietly because they wanted to buy the real estate cheap. But if we know that these big corporations are here, and that's another thing we got to get to, family. We got to stop letting those big corporations move in there. If they're not hiring, Elon Musk is not known for hiring a lot of black people. Google is not known for hiring. All of these people are being sued for discrimination because they don't hire black people and they don't give them good jobs. If they do, SpaceX, I expect to see the black man working in the security. I expect to see the janitor to be the black man. Outside of that, talking to the high end, you're not going to see a large amount of black people there. If that's the case, these areas, that's one of the biggest mistakes because we're complaining about gentrification, but gentrification is coming from all these trillion-dollar corporations moving into our areas. And now these developers are trying to accommodate them by building million-dollar homes. So Elon Musk recently got mad at California and said he's moving to Texas. Elon said he needed 10,000 homes to be built, and he also needed to hire 10,000 people. So real estate in Houston, the suburbs of Houston, is unbelievable. But anyway, family, they're going to cut me off soon. I should be over my time. If anybody would like to book me, to do a speaking and get a keynote, Zoom or something like that, please reach out to me at area code 310-54, again, 310-619-39. My site, Loftin.com, again, TJ Loftin.com, and do coach consultation trainings. So please reach out to my family so we can shed some light on what's going on around the country and better help our people, because a lot of people are being displaced and don't know there are solutions and strategies out here that they need to hear about. Any questions for me? I guess normally they come in and tell me it's time to go or something. So I guess we'll talk until. What's going on, Ms. Cole? What's the price of real estate in your area?
Oh, It's averaging maybe 8 to 900,000.
I noticed you spread that out. You chopped pieces eight,
Well,
eight.
I'm in Laverne Park.
No,
If it's north, if it's
are you not? Or do you need to pinch yourself or something? That because you were in denial right now. What?
no north of King the trend has been maybe at least $100,000 more than south of King.
But all
So
of it, but all of it's worth a lot of money. It's just they're trying to pay certain people less. They don't want to pay us, if that makes sense. But I would not. I wouldn't hold out. I mean, I would hold out. I would not sell anything because you know that you can't have a property across the major street and they're worth more money by 100,000, for example. You're right across the street. You're within the guidelines. You're within the perimeters of that house. Your house can be used as a comp. So yes, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
oh, no problem. But that's what I've been noticing. It's kind of like they kind of redline within Leimert Park. So it's like I'm at the southeast end. So it's kind of like, oh, we're the less desirable section of Leimert Park. So that's what I've been noticing over the years with the prices. It's like this is of Leimert Park. This is like the lowest price. But in terms from what I've seen, it's been turning over still. There's still a lot of activity. In fact, in terms of COVID and post-COVID, it seems like the activity it seems like COVID didn't really have an adverse effect because I looked at a recent report. The inventory is turned over the same as it did in 2019. So there hasn't been much of a difference, or there's been even more activity.
The cost of real estate in Los Angeles since COVID hit has risen drastically. Mm-hmm. Have you looked up? Now, these are numbers they don't talk about. So real estate prices when COVID hit were probably $550. A year and a half after COVID, they're at $799. Meaning real estate never was affected, if that makes sense.
Right.
COVID affected the price of real estate. But they want to tell us that. I got so many people telling me the economy's about to crash. I'm gonna go ahead and sell my house. I say, yeah, you'd be crazy. You'd be crazy to do that. Here's a concern that many California homeowners are having. If you sell, you have to leave California to purchase something comparable to what you sold. So here's what's going on. You don't have to leave California. You're just gonna drive further out. So what I see, people who live in California, say for example, people who live in Los Angeles are moving to cities called like Palmdale. Put it like this, Palmdale is even expensive. And now California City, which is almost 3 hours away from LA, they're historical prices. So, but they're building custom homes up there. So you don't have to leave California. You just got to get out of the LA. Put it like this, California is not expensive. LA County is expensive. You got to get out of Los Angeles County. The closest to go to is like Kern County and places like that, where you're going to see mass development happening. So the new Los Angeles is going to be Kern County. In Kern County pretty soon. They're going to drop an international airport out there. And people are going to be like, oh my God, I should have never left California. Exactly.
It is just as high as LA. Yeah. Riverside County prices almost comparable to LA.
Exactly.
So
because of the development.
Yeah. And so
and with you know what?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. You were saying?
Now with Cal City, because I've been doing some research, I visited there about a week and a half ago just to get a vibe and everything. I had inquired into some parcel, and one agent, I had asked him for APNs on certain parcels, and he never got back to me. He said, "Oh, I have to call the seller," and he commented, "Oh, they got this one seller has like 22 parcels or something like that." And
What's
there was
going on?
another agent said another seller had like 59 parcels. So it's like they're sitting and holding. I know with the one first agent I'm talking about, and because they have that the bullet train is in development,
That's a
and
huge. That's huge.
then California City borders the 58, the 395, and the 14. That whole perimeter.
We're moving to a situation where people work and live in Vegas. It's gonna be stuff like that. It's the bullet train. You know what I mean? It's only a matter of time. It's on. You notice they didn't call it a bullet train. They said it's a high-speed rail because a bullet train can do 400 miles per hour and it can cross the country.
It's a technicality. It's like, well, 200 miles per hour, so the down, right.
They're gonna start us off at 200 miles per hour, which cuts the time to get to Vegas in half from 6 hours to 3 hours. But as soon as they match, you look up those Chinese bullet trains and German bullet trains.
An hour and a half.
Yeah, they'd be quick. So now, see, a lot of people don't realize that greatly affects the real estate. If it's gonna take 3 hours to get Vegas to LA, I can't work at LA because that takes too long. That's 6 hours out of my day per hour. Then I could be looking for jobs in LA and live in Vegas. You see what I'm saying? Comfortably, and catch the bullet coming back and forth with no problem. So that's why they're gonna ease us into it slowly. Because if that bullet train say it goes 400-500 miles per hour, they're gonna wipe out a lot of jobs. They're gonna kill a lot of jobs. The real estate gonna go up quick.
But people are still working remotely. I don't know how sustainable, but it depends on the industry.
This is a flush out. It's all
yeah.
This is the great reset. Put it like this: as an entrepreneur, this is the best thing that ever happened to business, if that makes sense. Meaning, you got people who've been on a job for a long time, and you can't get rid of them, right? You can't get people. It's like trying to get certain people office. It's Congress to get involved in all that. It's hard to get people out of these jobs. So now there's this thing called and it's voluntarily. People enjoy
the remote life. I've read, especially with millennials, they're wary of returning to the office environment. A lot of them have quit, or when they were faced with that, because a lot of people have to go back to the job, the on-site, like June 1st or something like that.
Brother, Interlight Radio, all you got to call is brother, you got to pay attention to how fast these cities can go up. You say all that's in Kern County is cow poop and windmills. Brother, you better start looking around. They got some cities in Kern County that's booming. Like there's a city called, this is my secret city, I call it, for the celebrities that the retired celebrities move out to Bear Valley Springs and look it up. That's in Tehachapi, which is Kern County. Bear Valley Springs is $1 million neighborhood.
Exactly. They jack those prices up.
I used to go out there. I was gonna buy me a very nice second home for like $130,000, and that was kind of like, "Ooh, you the man! Look at that big old house you got in Kern County." Now, them houses like $1 million up in there. So what you fail to understand is, I want to go out there and give me some of them houses around the cow poop and windmills, because once they finish developing Kern County, you're gonna be like, "Wow, I should have bought. I wish I would have bought back when I heard Crazy TJ talking about it." You know what I mean? And that's what a lot of people. I remember when I moved to Palmdale, people was laughing at me. Rolled up the sidewalks, and when y'all gonna get some street lights? They was laughing at me. Now Palmdale $600,000-700,000. Now they ain't laughing no more. I go to California City, people was laughing at, "Why you building them little bitty old houses in California City?" Now they ain't laughing no more. They're like, "TJ, how much that costs to live in California City? I don't want to move out of California." That's why I've been directing people to all these other cities. Even Ridgecrest is booming. Ridgecrest is like 4 hours, 4.5, almost 4 hours away. But Ridgecrest estate is at a historical height because you got so many people that do not want to leave California. So people say, what about Georgia and all of this? I'm all out in Macon, Georgia. I'm looking at Warthenburg. You know, I'm looking at Tombstone. You got the black people just bought 100 acres in Tombstone, Georgia. Real estate, these areas like in Georgia here, you got a lot of people ain't realizing. See, we as a people, we go get degrees and things like that. But when you get a degree, they don't teach you about real estate and how the effects of real estate affects the economy. So what people don't realize, they recently passed a law that said New York has a big giant port. Having too much stuff coming into New York, so they needed to expand it, which they don't have room to expand it. They got to build another one. So they decided that they're going to start redirecting those ships from New York and start sending them to Augusta, Georgia. You see what I'm saying? Is it Augusta?
I thought it was Carolina.
It's definitely Georgia. Who wants to enclosed environment and get coronavirus? Yeah, it makes sense to work remote. That's part of. Anyway, they moved to. I don't know if it's not Augusta. It's a big city in Georgia. It started with an S, I think.
Savannah?
Savannah, Georgia. Thank you. There you go. Savannah, Georgia.
Oh, really? Okay.
Georgia has a very large port, and they're going to bring in most of the containers from overseas to Savannah to relieve pressure off of New York. So now when I'm driving down the I-75 freeway, which will run from Georgia, from Atlanta all the way down to Savannah, Georgia, they're expanding the freeway. And I'm like, you know how much money it costs to build a freeway, expand the freeway? We're talking about $1 million a mile. You understand what I'm saying? I'm saying $1 million a mile, but so Atlanta, what do you call it? Macon is an hour and a half from Georgia, and they're building brand new ramps going into Macon, going all in every way. They're getting a freeway system upgrade in the South. It's not just Georgia, it's Alabama as well. What are they doing that for, family? Because they got wealth now. They're relocating everybody to the South, so they got to make it look like California. They got to make it friendly. So they're spending billions upon billions of dollars. Now you hear Biden come in. He talk about he putting all this money away for infrastructure.
Right.
Yeah,
and don't get involved. It's like, okay, everybody else but us. It's like, okay, if this is the goal to rebuild America, whatever, we here. Why not involve the Black folks? It's like it's so much hate. It's like overlook your racism. So if you want to get the job done, so everyone can get something, you know.
No, and I want to talk about COVID from a business owner's perspective. Now, no offense to any people who have lost their lives or any of our loved ones or anything that's happened to people, but let's talk about something. When I'm a businessman, so I'm paying attention to, because I know I'm a manufacturer, right? Like I said earlier, I'm a manufacturer. I'm a real businessman, and I understand business and how the economy works from a global perspective. So I do know that America was losing so many jobs, so they turned around and bought what's his name, Trump in, and Trump's job as a president was to eliminate some of the competition and bring home some of the jobs. So America spends trillions of dollars a year buying stuff from China, right? So let's remember that China is the biggest threat to the jobs in America. If we can get rid of China and bring back half of the stuff, the manufacturing in China, we probably employ the majority of Americans. So America knew that, so they had to give a reason for us to not deal with China. So now let's look at the fact, all of a sudden, boom, Trump gets in the office, we go to war with China. All of a sudden, put sanctions on China. Then all of a sudden, they put sanctions on other countries. We no longer want to deal with China no more. We ain't dealing with them. So all of a sudden, Americans put up a big fight. No, we need China. All our stuff come from there. We can't afford that. Oh, Trump is a job killer. He killing jobs. Next thing you know, boom, people don't want to listen. All of a sudden, where did COVID start?
Wuhan.
Now, like, oh my God, I don't want nothing from China.
Right.
So guess what? Plan B is working, y'all. I'm just throwing that out there. So as a business owner, it's normal to spread rumors about your competitors, right? It's very normal. You know what I'm saying? So people got to look at the world from a business owner's perspective. And we got the problem with African American people. We coming from a employee perspective. We see the world through employees' eyes. Not we, but most people see the world through employees' eyes, and that's it. But me, I see the world through an entrepreneur's eyes. So I look at when people are doing certain things, I know what they're up to because I'm a business owner, and I say he's trying to eliminate competition. He making small moves to do big things. He's getting in position. I can recognize it because I am a seasoned entrepreneur. I'm a manufacturer. I'm not a person that just sit back and collected a check. No offense, family, but we have to pivot to these things. But anyway, so all of a sudden now COVID started in China, Wuhan, China. But if you also look at it, that's where the first 5G towers went up at. So I remember seeing in the news, they talk about, oh my God, y'all do not need to deal with 5G. Do not allow 5G to come into America. It's going to be a lot of people going to die. Do not let 5. I heard this all the time. Radiation is no joke. 5G radiation, don't do it. Don't do it. It was all over the internet. All of a sudden, boom, 5G comes in. All of a sudden, everybody got COVID now. What? What is COVID? It's radiation. It's too much radiation. So when everybody was forced to stay at home because of COVID, I never stayed at home because I'm a developer. I'm a business owner. I'm a real estate person. I'm a I'm a healthy eater at that. I'm a plant-based eater, family, meaning I'm a plant-based eater. I eat healthy. Most people know vegans and all of that, vegetarian, but plant-based is what we really supposed to be eating. So I never stayed in because I'm a healthy eater. I know a lot of that stuff don't affect me. Okay, well, what is COVID? COVID is the lungs, and they have a problem with respiratory. Okay, well, let me get something to boost my immune system. So boom, I'm taking things to boost my immune system. So meaning I stayed out in the streets, and I'm continuing to go to Home Depot and work on houses and work on real estate investments. So what do I see clear across the country? I see 5G towers popping up like the very next day. People stay home on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, trucks rolling out, putting up 5G towers everywhere. And what's interesting is I was in Georgia today in a small city. I was in Macon, matter of fact, and I saw this building, and this building was priced perfect. I couldn't believe this building was so cheap. And I'm like, something wrong with it. So I'm looking at it on the computer, and I decide I need to go see this building and figure out why the pictures are not showing why this building is so cheap. And then I decided to go over there. Finally, I get over there and I'm looking at the building. I'm like, this building is beautiful. This is a nice area. Something ain't right. So I get to the building. There's a big giant 5G tower sitting right at the top of the building. And I said, that's what it is. That's what it is. The owner of the building knew what they were doing. And he said, I'm out. I'm selling this building. Nothing wrong with it. Beautiful building. And it's so undervalued. And people are not buying. The people who understand what's going on, anybody who can afford to buy a commercial building is a business owner, and they understand what's happening, so they know not to buy that building. And I'm seeing that all over the country. So when people say, if you are a homeowner willing to sell, maybe Black folks should consider relocating out of the country. Another option, have seen development in Rwanda, Kegel, most developed. See, here's the problem I have with the people who leave in the country. People ain't paying. Again, I'm a manufacturer, so I got to deal with relationships with international. I've shipped car parts internationally. I've shipped whole cars internationally. So I hold a very good conversation. So all these people are moving overseas to Africa, different countries. Now I love Africa, and I would love to create a relationship and manufacture some of my car parts over there. By the way, But what I see China going in Africa, loaning the government's money, and then knowing they ain't going to be able to pay that money back. And the first thing they say is, I'm going to take the port. Give me your port. You can't pay me back. We season the ports. We season your airports. I want all this land over here. And then they pass a law saying you can't manufacture nothing over here. Everything that gets manufactured needs to go through China. So people like myself who said, they all said, TJ, you should move to Africa. Well, I don't want to move to Africa if I can't manufacture car parts over there. If I can't manufacture things and ship them back to America, that's going to be a problem. So my question is, who is the president and who is the second to the president? You know, because these people, if the president ain't listening and he working pretty good, he turn around and dies. Next thing you know, it rolls to someone else. The Chinese have taken over the airport in Zambia. Exactly, all over the country. You know, all over Africa. Chinese is playing chess, and most people playing checkers. You see what I'm saying? Again, it goes back to yes, you can go to Africa and get a really cheap price house. You get amazingly priced. You can build on the beach for a certain amount of money. But where you gonna work at? Where you going? What kind of are you planning on manufacturing? You see what I'm saying? I'm not going over there to get a cheap house. I want to go over there and get set up a manufacturing plant for cheap. Now, see, people like me is thinking wrong to be African American, so they don't want me over there. You see what I'm saying? I'm coming in there. Before I even go, I'm asking, can I manufacture over there? What? The next thing you know, you find out, oh well, China just passed a law said you got to go through China. There ain't nothing wrong with that, TJ. Go to China. Why would I want to let Chinese build something because it's a cheaper place to manufacture when I can manufacture stuff in Africa for the same price? Which is cheap, probably. You see what I'm saying? I want to see my people eating. I don't want to continue to feed the Chinese. We fed them long enough. Can I manufacture something in Africa now and let all of those people, all of my African brothers and sisters, they start turning around and they start saying, oh, well, I learned enough from TJ and his manufacturing plant. This time I do my own thing. And then you look up, now you got 40 billionaires over there that's manufacturing all kind of car parts. He say, shoot, I don't want to make 64 Chevy parts. I'm going to go with the cars that's sold in Germany. And, you know, it's a bunch of cars in Germany that ain't in America. So I'm going to do those because I don't want to compete against TJ. You know what I mean? So it's things like that. And that's what I want to see. I want to see us becoming billion-dollar manufacturers, you know. And that's another thing that bothers me with America. You know, I love my people, but I just hate that so many people are asleep, even though they think they woke. No offense to anyone. I'm just saying this is what I'm dealing with on a day-to-day basis. We got so many people that's wanting to be respected because their name is doctor and blah, 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 or I'm this and I'm the head over that. But you're talking about sending people off to get jobs. That ain't helping the community. I say I helped over 100 of my closest friends across the country start businesses, and 90% of your people are coming out of these universities. I bet you can name over 100 people that's in debt. You know, that's in over $100,000 in debt, and that's a problem. You know what I'm saying? But me going into manufacturing, looking at what's going on in Africa, I got that's that rainstorm that came rolled in. So anyway, we got to get back into manufacturing, fam. Don't go to Africa looking for a job. Yeah, you cannot go to Africa, and that's the problem. Most people who do go to Africa, they already have worked a job and they've set up a retirement, or they sold a house and they got a lump sum of money that they can go to Africa and they already got X amount of thousands of dollars saved up so they can build a house, pay for it. And then, you know, they got $100,000 in their savings. So, hey, off of that money, they can live a long time. You know what I mean? But me, I got to keep handling business. So I need to have, I need to be able to make some stuff. And since I'm making stuff, I need to be able to import it, export it back to America. You see what I'm saying? I need to be able to ship it around the world. I don't want to get caught up in red tape. So that's what the Chinese are doing. While we over here learning this new international conversation, which I already know, they over there passing laws to stop what's coming down the road. So let me tell you how deep this goes back. The governments in Africa would not deal with America for decades, for years. So they would only deal with black people. So all of a sudden, here comes President Obama. He goes over he become president. First thing he do, white folks say, we need you to go to Africa. He goes to Africa. He said, come on, man, let me put a base over here. Let me put a military base over here. Brother, you know my daddy from around the corner, right? You know, they're like, yeah, but we don't want them over here. You know how the Americans are. Come on, man. My grandma. You know what I'm saying? So now they feeling like we got to let our people come in, and so Obama was the first person to get them to let them put a military base in Africa. Now there's military bases all over Africa, and what's going on is so many people, or they over there to protect because they see people like Mugabe back in the days. He said, "I'm taking the farmland from all these white folks and giving it back to my people. In fact, we're kicking all the white folks out the country." So guess what? America's already in position with their military. America's in position with their military to make threats. Oh, y'all, you gonna do that? We gonna send the military over there because you know we right up the street. So it all boils down to is they've gotten in position already to make sure that when we come over there, people like me go over there, we can't do the things that I would love to do as a manufacturer. Family, they are not bothering me. I'm surprised they ain't kicked me out of here by now. Y'all got any more questions for me? I'm out here in Georgia. I hear that rain done kicked in, y'all. Hey, I appreciate it, good brother. So again, if y'all need me to come speak on any of your radio shows, your panel discussions, your IG lives, Facebook lives, or anything like that, or be a keynote speaker at a college or something like that, or if y'all interested in purchasing a copy of my book, Monetizing Gentrification, Building Black Ownership, do not go to Amazon. I say it again, do not go to Amazon. Call me up, 310-619-3954. Again, I put it in the notes over here, and it's in the chat box, my information. Call me up or inbox me your information, and my Cash App is also there. My Zelle is also there. Reach out to me and get a copy of my book called Monetizing Gentrification and Building Black Ownership. So please help me. And also, I challenge you guys to reach out to your schools, use all your power, your resources, which a lot of African Americans control the education system around the country. We got a lot of black principals, a lot of black directors, a lot of black people who can put people like me in front of those students that want to get them to learn something versus, you know what I'm saying? So if y'all can connect me that I can speak to these young people, put me in there and let me come do some keynote speeches, et cetera, that will greatly help the community because there's a lot of people like me that was not going to college that all they needed to hear is, yes, you can work on some custom cars, or you can go get a mechanic certificate and become a very successful person and pathway into manufacturing. You know, I turned around, had a little mechanic certificate from Centennial High School. No, I had a diploma, by the way. All of a sudden, became one of the biggest car builders on the planet. And to this day, I'm still manufacturing car parts. Y'all understand? But that is not known to our people in the school system. They'll tell you they don't have manufacturers. So why is that? Because the school systems were locking me out. So I need y'all to reach in there and make your power, and let's get my name out there so I can help to bring people the information that they need. I'm not here to offend anyone. I'm just here to bring the information that we can use so that we can get out of this situation. Because like I said, family, I'm a visionary, and when I look at real estate, I see that it's some dark days, just like Claude Anderson said, family. If you are not in position, it is going to be some very dark days for you as a people, for us, for you, not me, but people that don't understand what's going on. But if you like to understand what's going on and know what moves to make, please reach out to me. All my information is there. So I do training classes, I do coaching, I do consultations. I teach people how to build houses from the ground up. All right, family, I appreciate y'all time. I'm gonna get out of here. I don't want to wear out my welcome.